All right, let's talk about leadership. Not the kind you read about in textbooks, all about consensus and compromise. No, I'm talking about real leadership. The kind that transforms companies, that shifts entire industries, that makes a dent in the universe. It's often messy, it's always demanding, and it's almost never about being liked. My job, as I always saw it, was not to be easy on people. My job was to make them better, and sometimes making people better means pushing them beyond what they thought were their limits, challenging their assumptions, and confronting them with uncomfortable truths. You see, for decades, people have looked at Apple, they've marveled at the products, the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad. They've seen the market capitalization, the global phenomenon, but what often goes unseen, what often gets glossed over, is the invisible engine behind all of it. It wasn't just the technology, it was the leadership, it was the culture, the vision, the relentless drive that I instilled. A true leader shapes not just products, but the very soul of a company. They imprint their philosophy onto the organization, making it breathe and think and act in a particular way. That's what I aim to do. What I'm going to share with you today is what I call the Steve Jobs Leadership Code. It's a blend of visionary thinking, a ruthless demand for excellence, an uncompromising focus, and the often misunderstood ability to inspire, even through confrontation. This isn't some soft skills guide for managing by committee. This is about intense, sometimes uncomfortable, truths about what it truly takes to lead transformational change. It's about understanding that the path to greatness is paved with difficult choices and unwavering conviction. We're going to dissect the absolute power of vision, the relentless pursuit of perfection that became our standard, the courage to say no to 1,000 good things, the art of communication and persuasion that made people believe in the impossible, and the critical role of talent cultivation, because without the right people, even the greatest vision is just a dream. These aren't just theories or abstract concepts. These are principles I lived and breathed every single day. They were forged in the fires of near bankruptcy, in the crucible of intense competition, and in the relentless pursuit of making something insanely great. Let's begin with the very first principle, the bedrock of everything I did. Visionary architect, the power of foresight and intuition. True leadership for me always started with a compelling, almost prophetic vision. It wasn't about market research. It was about seeing what didn't exist yet, feeling it in my gut, and then believing in it with every fiber of my being. I remember people always asking, "How do you know what customers want?" My answer was always the same. You can't just ask customers what they want and then try to give that to them. By the time you get it built, they'll want something new. That's why we didn't do market research at Apple. We relied on intuition. We created products that we wanted to use, products that we believed would change the world, even if the world didn't yet know it needed them. This unwavering conviction, this ability to make people believe in the impossible, is what people famously called my reality distortion field. And yes, it was a force, but it wasn't manipulation in the traditional sense. It was an intense, contagious conviction that made people believe the impossible was not only within reach, but their destiny. I used it to push boundaries, to demand what seemed unachievable, and to extract extraordinary effort from brilliant individuals. When I told an engineer that a certain feature had to be done, even if they said it was impossible, my conviction often became theirs. It wasn't about lying, it was about believing so deeply in the vision that it compelled others to transcend their own perceived limitations. It forced people to think differently, to challenge the status quo, to dig deeper for solutions they didn't know they possessed. It turned "no, that can't be done" into "how can it be done?" My job as a leader was to anticipate, to intuit, to create the future. It wasn't about responding to trends. It was about setting them. It was about seeing around corners, understanding the trajectory of technology and human desire, and then building something that would meet those needs before anyone else even realized they existed. Think about the iPod. Before it, portable music players were clunky, limited. No one asked for 1,000 songs in your pocket, but I saw the fragmented experience, the clunky software, the lack of elegance. I envisioned a seamless ecosystem, hardware, software, and services that would revolutionize how people consumed music. That wasn't market research, that was intuition. And underpinning all of this was the why. Every product, every decision had to connect to a grander purpose, a reason for existence beyond just making money. We're here to put a dent in the universe. That wasn't just a marketing slogan, it was our mission statement. It was the rallying cry that brought brilliant minds together, that pushed them through sleepless nights, that made them obsessed with every detail. People don't just buy what you do, they buy why you do it. My leadership was about articulating that why with such clarity and passion that it resonated with millions, inspiring them to join our cause, whether as employees, partners, or loyal customers. This visionary ability to connect the abstract idea of making a dent to tangible products was fundamental. It instilled a sense of purpose that transformed employees from mere workers into missionaries for a shared cause. This brings me to the second core principle: uncompromising excellence, the relentless pursuit of perfection. I had an absolute refusal to tolerate mediocrity. Period. Every single detail mattered, from the internal components of a computer that no one would ever see, to the packaging experience when you first opened an Apple product. If it wasn't perfect, it wasn't good enough. Insanely great wasn't just a catchy phrase, it was a deeply ingrained benchmark. It was the standard for every product, every pixel on the screen, every curve of the chassis, every interaction a user had with our software. It was the relentless pursuit of that feeling when you held an Apple product, that it was crafted with such care and attention that it felt almost alive. If something wasn't insanely great, it was simply crap, and I had no patience for crap. This obsession with excellence extended to the people I hired. I had an unwavering commitment to bringing in only the best, the A players. My belief was simple: A players hire A players, B players hire C players. If you hire someone who's just good enough, they'll surround themselves with people who are even less capable. But if you hire the absolute best, they'll push each other, they'll challenge each other, and they'll demand greatness from their peers. I spent an inordinate amount of time recruiting, interviewing, and building these A teams, because I knew that even the most brilliant vision is useless without the talent to execute it flawlessly. And it wasn't just about technical brilliance, it was about passion, about a shared commitment to perfection, about a drive to do something truly meaningful. This meant an intense, often grueling interview process. It meant pushing candidates to think, to defend their ideas, to show their true character under pressure, because I knew that the people who made it through that process were the ones who would ultimately make Apple what it became. This pursuit of excellence also meant fostering a relentless culture of critique, intense, direct feedback, even if it was uncomfortable or seemingly brutal, was absolutely essential to refining ideas and pushing teams to higher levels of quality. I have no problem with a direct, honest, and sometimes brutal assessment if it gets us to the right answer. I would challenge every assumption, tear apart every design, question every line of code if it didn't meet the insanely great standard. This wasn't about tearing people down, it was about tearing down bad ideas. It was about pushing past ego, past comfort, to arrive at the best possible solution. It often led to heated arguments, to late nights, to frustration, but it also led to breakthroughs, to products that surprised and delighted millions, because in that furnace of critique, only the strongest, most elegant ideas survived. This constant, rigorous interrogation of every detail, every decision, was paramount. It ensured that no compromise was overlooked, no flaw accepted. The third principle, one that is often misunderstood, is the power of no. Ruthless elimination for laser focus. True innovation, as I learned through painful experience, isn't about doing more. It's about saying no to 1,000 things, even the good things. This is a concept I detailed in my previous thoughts, but it bears repeating, because it's absolutely central to my leadership code. When I returned to Apple in 1997, the company was drowning in a sea of products, dozens of Macs, peripherals, the Newton PDA. It was a chaotic mess, bleeding money, and losing its way. My first, most radical act was to cut 70% of the product line. 70%. People thought I was crazy. Why cut profitable products like the Newton? But for me it was clear. These were distractions. They consumed precious engineering talent, marketing budget, and executive focus that needed to be channeled into a few truly revolutionary products. This was the embodiment of strategic indifference. It meant having the discipline to ignore viable, even profitable, opportunities if they didn't align with the absolute core vision. The Newton, for all its technological ingenuity, and established user base, was a relic of a past, unfocused Apple. It wasn't where we were going. It had to go. Focusing is about saying no. This wasn't just about cutting costs. It was about liberating our intellectual capital, our creative energy, to concentrate intensely on what truly mattered. The radical concentration of resources that resulted from these cuts was staggering. By eliminating the extraneous, we freed up an incredible amount of talent and energy. This allowed us to channel all our collective genius into developing the iMac, then the iPod, then the iPhone, and later the iPad, products that redefined industries. This wasn't magic. It was the direct result of ruthless elimination. When you're only focusing on 4 products, as we did with my 4-quadrant strategy, you can pour all your resources, all your passion, all your relentless pursuit of perfection into making those 4 products insanely great. You can't do that if you're trying to do a dozen things or 50 things. You end up with mediocrity, and mediocrity was simply not an option for Apple. Let's look at some real-world examples, because theory is nothing without practice. My early leadership crucible was the Macintosh development. From the very beginning, I pushed the team to build a computer that was not just powerful, but beautiful, intuitive, and truly personal. I demanded a bitmap display, elegant typography, and a graphical user interface when other computers were still using green screens and command lines. Engineers would tell me it was impossible, that the hardware couldn't handle it. My response was always the same: figure it out. My job was to tell them it could be done, to inspire them to find a way. We worked 90-hour weeks. The pressure was immense, but we were driven by a shared vision to build a computer for the rest of us, a computer that would empower individuals. I saw the Mac as a work of art, and my team as artists. That's why I insisted they all sign their names on the inside of the Mac's case, a testament to their collective artistry, a secret signature on a masterpiece. It wasn't just a product, it was an expression of our souls. This personal investment, this belief in the product as an extension of ourselves, drove us to impossible. Then came the period of Apple's turnaround and the iMac. When I returned in 1997, the company was a broken shell. It was on the brink of bankruptcy, losing millions every quarter. The first thing I did was that ruthless cut of 70% of the product line. That was the initial shock treatment. Then I implemented the simple, yet revolutionary 4-quadrant strategy: consumer desktop, consumer portable, pro desktop, pro portable. Our goal: one truly great product in each quadrant. This strategic clarity brought immediate focus. The iMac was the first fruit of this renewed focus. It wasn't just a computer, it was a statement. Its translucent, colorful design was unlike anything else on the market. It purposely removed legacy ports, pushing the industry forward, forcing people to adapt. It looked like it was from another planet, a good planet, a planet with better designers. It revitalized the company, bringing design and simplicity back to the forefront. It wasn't just a product launch, it was a psychological reset for Apple, a declaration of intent. It showed the world that Apple was back, focused and ready to innovate again. And the turnaround was swift. From a staggering $1.04 billion loss in 1997 to a $309 million profit just 1 year later. This wasn't magic. It was the direct consequence of ruthless elimination and unwavering focus. And I made a strategic partnership with Microsoft, a seemingly impossible alliance given our history. It was a deal that secured Apple's immediate financial future, providing much-needed cash and a commitment to continue developing Office for Mac. It was a deeply unpopular move internally, seen by many as a betrayal, but I knew it was essential for survival. This showed a strategic flexibility, an ability to make pragmatic decisions, even when they went against my personal inclinations or historical animosities, all for the sake of the larger vision. It was a demonstration that true leadership sometimes means swallowing your pride and making the difficult, unpopular choice for the greater good. My leadership was also defined by the iPod and iTunes, a masterclass in ecosystem vision. I saw the digital music revolution coming, but I also saw its inherent messiness. MP3 players were clunky, the software was awful, and acquiring music was a nightmare. I envisioned a seamless, integrated ecosystem, a beautiful device, intuitive software, and a legal way to buy music. That's how the iPod and iTunes were born. I obsessed over every detail of the iPod's design, the famous click wheel, the simple interface, the 1,000 songs in your pocket. I personally negotiated with the music labels, pushing them to accept our radical vision for 99-cent song downloads, a seemingly impossible feat at the time. I insisted on a seamless user experience, from the moment you plug the iPod into your computer, to the moment you bought a song on iTunes, to the moment you listened to it. The iPod wasn't just a gadget, it was the digital hub for your life, laying the crucial groundwork for the iPhone. It integrated music, photos, and later video, showing how hardware and software, when designed together with a singular vision, could create an unparalleled user experience. We didn't do market research asking people if they wanted a digital music store, we just built it, because I believed in the power of intuition, in anticipating user needs before they even knew they had them. We created the future of music consumption, not by asking users, but by showing them what was possible. This was a testament to my ability to see beyond the immediate product and envision an entire integrated user journey. It was about creating an ecosystem, a closed loop where every component enhanced the other, creating a lock-in that wasn't manipulative, but genuinely delightful for the user. Let's dive deeper into some of the subtleties and nuances of this leadership code. One of my greatest strengths and a powerful leadership tool was the power of storytelling and presentation. I had an unparalleled ability to articulate a vision, to simplify incredibly complex technology, and to create compelling narratives around our products. The Apple keynotes weren't just product launches, they were theatrical events, meticulously choreographed performances. I focused on telling a story, not just listing specs. I'd talk about the why this product mattered, how it would change your life, how it would empower you. I understood that people don't just buy technology, they buy an experience, a dream, a connection. Think about the pacing, the reveals, the famous one more thing. It wasn't about showing off, it was about inspiring awe, about making people believe in magic. I would focus on the benefits to the user, not just the technical features. I'd explain that the iPod wasn't just a music player, it was 1,000 songs in your pocket. The iPhone wasn't just a phone, it was 3 revolutionary products in one: an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. My presentations were a masterclass in persuasion, in creating a reality distortion field that extended beyond my employees to millions of potential customers. It was about making people feel something, about tapping into their aspirations, their desire for elegance, simplicity, and empowerment. This ability to frame the narrative, to control the message, was a powerful force that shaped public perception and fueled our growth. It wasn't just marketing, it was leadership by articulation, and this leads back to the reality distortion field in detail. While some perceived it as a demanding, even manipulative trait, it was also profoundly beneficial. It created an environment where teams believed they could achieve the impossible. It fostered true innovation. When I told an engineer that a project could be finished faster than they thought, or that a design was achievable despite technical hurdles, I was pushing them, but that push often led to breakthroughs they didn't think possible. It wasn't about ignoring reality, it was about bending it, stretching it, pushing its limits. It created a collective conviction that transcended perceived limitations. It inspired people to work harder, think smarter, and deliver beyond their perceived capabilities. This was a critical component of our success, enabling us to innovate at a pace and quality that few, if any, other companies could match. It forced people to think differently about what possible meant. It was about creating a shared sense of urgency and a boundless belief in our collective genius. My leadership also focused on cultivating a culture of accountability and ownership. I had an obsession with individual responsibility. When everyone owns a piece of the puzzle and knows they are singularly responsible for that piece, the collective commitment to excellence skyrockets. There's no hiding, there's no blaming others. You own it, and if you own it, you'll obsess over it, refine it, and ensure it meets the insanely great standard. This sometimes meant using direct, sometimes harsh critique. My job is to say when something sucks rather than sugarcoat it. It wasn't about being mean, it was about getting to the truth quickly. It was about ensuring that ideas were battle-tested, refined, and that any flaws were exposed and addressed immediately. This fostered a culture where honest feedback, though painful at times, was embraced as a path to perfection. This ties into what I called the responsibility to truth. My belief was that a leader's primary responsibility is to confront reality, no matter how uncomfortable, and to demand the absolute best from everyone, including themselves. If something wasn't working, we called it out. If a design was flawed, we redesigned it. If an engineer wasn't performing, we addressed it. There was no room for complacency or self-deception. This unflinching honesty, though sometimes jarring, ensured that we were always striving for perfection, always learning from our mistakes, and always pushing the boundaries of what was possible. It was about holding everyone to the highest standard, because the product, and ultimately the user, deserved nothing less. This culture of directness, this rejection of polite mediocrity, was instrumental in forging the resilient, high-performing teams that built Apple's most iconic products. Finally, my leadership evolved significantly, especially after my connecting the dots philosophy post-Apple ousting. Being fired from Apple, that painful exile, gave me a profound new perspective. The lightness of being a beginner again freed me from the baggage of past success and allowed me to connect seemingly unrelated experiences. Like the calligraphy classes I audited at Reed College, seemingly useless at the time, but years later, that knowledge of beautiful typography became crucial for the elegance of the Macintosh. This philosophy, which I shared in my Stanford commencement speech, highlighted the importance of trusting that diverse experiences will eventually coalesce into a coherent path, even if it's not clear in the moment. It fostered a broader, more integrated vision upon my return to Apple. My leadership became less about just the immediate product and more about the entire ecosystem, the user experience from end to end, seeing the bigger picture and trusting the long-term journey. It was a profound lesson in patience, in trusting intuition, and in understanding that life's most unexpected detours often lead to the most meaningful destinations. So how can you decode this leadership code and apply these principles in your own life, your own work, your own organization? First, you must develop your unwavering vision. Cultivate foresight. Listen to your intuition. Don't just react to the market. Anticipate it. Articulate a compelling why that transcends mere product features or profit margins. What is the fundamental purpose of your work? What problem are you solving? What dent are you trying to make in the universe? Practice visioning exercises. Spend time thinking deeply about the future, about possibilities, about what you believe should exist. This vision will be your compass, guiding every decision and inspiring those around you. It's the absolute bedrock of leadership. Second, you must demand insanely great from yourself and your team. Set uncompromising standards. Foster a culture of rigorous critique, where direct, honest feedback is not just tolerated, but expected and valued. Obsess over quality, craftsmanship, and the overall user experience. Every detail matters. Don't settle for good enough or average. Push yourself and your team beyond perceived limits. Challenge mediocrity at every turn. If something sucks, say it sucks, and then fix it. This relentless pursuit of excellence will differentiate you and attract the best talent. Third, you must master the art of saying no. Learn to identify and eliminate distractions. Prioritize your vital few objectives, the absolute core of what you must achieve. Have the courage and discipline to say no to opportunities that, while good, would dilute your focus. Communicate these difficult decisions with clarity, explaining the why behind the no to your team. Remember, true strength comes from concentrated effort, not diffused ambition. Less is more, when that less is chosen with ruthless precision. Fourth, you have to become a master storyteller. Learn to simplify complex ideas. Craft compelling narratives around your vision and your products. Connect what you do to your audience's aspirations, their dreams, their desire for meaning. Make your presentations not just informative, but inspiring. Make your vision contagious. Use visuals, emotion, and personal conviction to create your own reality distortion field that draws people in and makes them believe in the impossible. People don't buy products, they buy stories, they buy dreams, they buy the why. Finally, cultivate top talent and accountability. Obsessively identify, attract, and empower players. Surround yourself with brilliant, passionate people who share your vision and your commitment to excellence. Foster a culture of individual ownership and direct accountability. Encourage direct, honest feedback. Don't tolerate mediocrity, and don't be afraid to make tough personnel decisions if necessary. Great teams build great products, and great leaders build great teams. My leadership wasn't about consensus or comfort. It was about catalytic transformation. It was about inspiring people to achieve the impossible. My legacy, Apple's legacy, stands as a testament to the power of a leader who dared to think different, who demanded insanely great, and who refused to compromise on his vision. While my style was unique, the underlying principles of vision, focus, excellence, and inspiration are universal. So I challenge you, Decode your own leadership code, reflect on your own strengths and weaknesses, embrace the discomfort of true leadership, and strive relentlessly to make a dent in the universe in your own unique way. Don't just think different, lead different, and in doing so, inspire millions. The world is waiting for your dent.